Hey everyone, welcome here and glad to have you along. Did you know that I am now on Locals? Locals is an app where you can build community. Think of it like a modern day Facebook group. There you can get free content. I host morning coffees, some afternoon happy hours. You get tons of bonus content, discounts to programs and functions, and it's the best place to connect with me and the subscription box community as we continue to grow. All the videos are free to watch, and all you have to do is sign up on Locals. And the best place to do that is to download the Locals app and search for The Subscription Box Show or Eric Music, or you can go to the actual website, thesubscriptionboxshow.locals.com, and there you'll be able to sign up for free. Hope to see you there, and remember to check out our new YouTube channel, The Subscription Box Show. Cheers, and enjoy the show. All right, so we're live. We are here with Nick and Melanie Phillips. They are from Kids Art Box. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and for those of you guys who are watching on YouTube, apologies for the crazy sun going on here, early morning here. But you guys are the same time as us. It's still it's 9 Central, and you guys are Central Time, correct, in Tennessee?
No, we're Eastern. We're 10 minutes from Central Time.
Oh, because I thought Nashville was Central, but you guys are just east of that. So like part of Tennessee splits, and then you guys are not. Right. Oh, yep. Okay, interesting.
We're right on the border. If my cell phone automatically changes the time, I might get the wrong time on my phone.
Oh, that's brutal. That's got to be annoying, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Hard to schedule these different things, especially with these Zoom meetings that, if you're going cross country. Well, anyways, guys, for those who've never heard of Kids Art Box and kidsartbox.com, maybe give us a quick elevator pitch, what you guys do, what you guys are, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of the interview here.
Sure. Yeah. So we're an art box subscription for kids. So what we do is we create new and unique art activities for children ages 3+, so 3 really through middle school. Even we have adults who are even doing Kids at Heart who are even doing our products. We've got a couple of different product lines. So one is really geared towards younger kids to do with their parents. 3+, it creates a lot of great bonding time and activity time together with parents, so that they don't have to go out and research and try to figure out materials and do all of that. And every month there's a brand new theme. Like farm or forest or fairies or rainbows, like just a lot of different types of themes. And then our older box is My Artist Box. It's for older kids. They should be reading, so say 6+. And that box, we have a featured artist every month, and it's a full art education about that artist. So they get about the time, the history of the artist, the period, the type of art. They get to recreate some of that artist's pieces or their own versions of it. And then they get a really good art education about the artist. And then we have some seasonal boxes as well. We just had a Halloween box that's sold out. We're about to launch a Christmas and Hanukkah box here pretty soon. So we have a few of those throughout the year as well.
Hey, very interesting. So for those of you guys who never checked it out, and if you have kids and you're looking just for something to do, definitely check it out. We're going to have the links in the show notes, kidsartbox.com. But it didn't always start out that way. It used to be Mommy and Me Art Box. That was back in 2020 from what I could just read and stuff about you guys on your website and online. Why the change, and how did it morph into what it is today?
Well, so I guess we could talk about how it all started.
Sure.
We moved across the country. We live in Tennessee. We were briefly in North Carolina for a project that I was on. Melanie, when we did that, she used to be a structural engineer. She stopped working at that time, and we had 2 boys, 2 kids at the time, and she just spent a lot of time doing art with them. And over a year or so, she built up like a 15,000 person following on Instagram, just posting photos of all the projects she was doing with the kids. And it seemed like people liked it. So we had a 3rd son eventually. And as he was about to go to daycare, we thought, well, Melanie should, find something to do, maybe go back to being an engineer part-time.
She don't want to do that.
She really didn't want to do that. Turned out the state didn't want her to do it either, because she's, education and licensing requirements.
Friends, it was more complicated to get my transcripts back.
Yep.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep. And so we just kind of talked at the kitchen table and came up with doing a subscription art box. At the time, we called it Mommy and Me Art Box.
Because, I started with me doing art with my children. So that's where the name started from.
Yep.
Right.
And we figured that there were a lot of other working moms or moms who were maybe not too creative that really wanted to have some good quality art time with their kids. And Melanie just got such great, time with the children, just being creative and having fun and doing, lots of interesting things. So we thought we'd try to share that with other families. At the time, the hope was, and this is like December 2019, so just like the last couple of days of 2019, really. The thought was maybe this could be a hobby for Melanie, a business hobby, whatever, get a couple hundred subscribers, and we'd be in great shape. And then COVID happened, and different, we ended up with different plans.
All right, so it's interesting because the December stuff we launched in December of 2019 as well. Right at the end, we wanted to launch earlier, and for whatever reason, we just had delays with our website, with all our pre-launch stuff. We launched right at the end, I think December 10th, 2019, and then of course COVID. So I mean, you guys are very similar. Just for the name, the Mommy and Me Art Box, was that because of Melanie's Instagram following? That's what it was called, or how did that work?
It was This French Mom was
my Instagram.
Her Instagram. Yep. So Mommy and Me, the idea there was, there's Mommy and Me dance, and there's Mommy and Me this and that. Art is really, with kids, younger kids especially, art is really a great bonding time. They might not have all the words that they want to express themselves with, and if you can do fun activities and let them explore and get messy, it's hard for me sometimes to get messy with the kids, but Melanie likes to get messy with the kids, and there's paint splatters and things.
Painting,
yep.
Baking, all of those.
Yep.
You just walks away.
Yeah. So so that was the thought, was it would be a good way to connect with kids. And so when we launched it, we didn't know COVID was coming, of course, and COVID happened. And all of a sudden there was, millions of parents across the world, especially in the US for what we experienced, that all of a sudden had a lot of time with their kids, and they were all at home, and work was closed and school was closed, and oh my gosh, what do I do now? So they were looking for things to do.
So how did that help? Was it because everyone asks us, like, because we have a kids box as well, more of a baby box, like, oh, you guys are, what a perfect timing with everything. Did you consider perfect timing for you guys when it launched, or was it more like this was a blessing in disguise, or it was not? Like, did it hurt the business?
So it was really, in a lot of ways, perfect timing for launching the business. Demand was, incredible. There was huge demand. So we went from, I think we sold our first box in like February of 2020 to one of my friends with our website. And then after that, by March, things started to take off. And I think we had our first like 15 or 20 sales, like around the 20th or so of March. And then April, all of a sudden, we're doing a few $1,000s in revenue. And then we started growing 50 to 100% month over month, for the rest of the year, basically. So we grew really fast. When we first started doing it, we were at our house, and it was, pack 10 boxes, no big deal. Melanie was doing it. I was doing it.
Back 100.
Yeah,
still okay.
We got to 100. It was okay. But now the kids were helping. So we had like these bins, and they're running around putting envelopes in boxes for shipping for us. And we had like our whole hallway just with like a production line going. And eventually it was, 200 or 300 boxes. This is like 6 weeks in or something.
A garage packed with supplies.
Yep. Our garage is full. Can't use the garage. Can't use the kitchen table. Can't
Classic.
use the island in the kitchen. And so we're like, well,
we need an office.
We need an office. So we decided to rent a small office. Our oldest, who at the time was 6, I guess.
They were 6, 4, and the baby was 1.
Our oldest who was 6 shows up, and he's like, "Hey, Dad, I think we should get a table to pack these on instead of packing them on the floor." And it's like, well, actually, we're going to move to an office. And he was just really upset because he liked packing them with us. So we got a small office. We grew out of that in a month or two. We got a bigger office. We hired a couple of people. I think we were in that first office building with one office for like a month, and then a bigger office for like 2 months. And then we were like, well, it looks like we're doing this. So we went and rented a 6,000 square foot warehouse and started hiring, like really hiring. And we grew to maybe 10 or 12 people pretty fast.
That's incredible.
And grew to, maybe shipping like 3,000 or 4,000 boxes a month within a year of starting. So,
Well, good for you guys. That's good growth. That's huge growth, actually, for especially in that little short period of time. Some people are trying to crack that in their 50th year, 60th year. Curious, what was the biggest contributor to that, you think?
Well, so the pandemic definitely played a big part. The product that Melanie's designed is really just the biggest thing. Finding that product market fit, right? Figuring out here's something that people want and will give you money for, right? Some people want things, but they won't give you money for it. So she came up with something that people want. There's a lot of parents. It's a big market. And then on my side, I'm a business guy, so I see, we're putting money into Facebook ads and we're getting like 10, 12 times ROAS on Facebook. Like I just couldn't not.
That's wicked, yeah.
And so we started just dumping lots of money into ads. Maybe we're a little crazy. We signed a 3-year lease for a pretty large warehouse and started hiring people and really investing money into this. The thought at the time was really, wow, it's really growing. We need to just fulfill the orders. How are we going to do that?
Yeah.
And it's such a great product that we're getting, constant unsolicited positive feedback from people. So let's just pour gas on it and just try to turn it into a real business.
Did the iOS 14 updates affect your ROAS?
Crushed us. Yep.
Yeah.
Overnight. Yeah. So basically, March of 2021, we all know that it's coming, right? There's February of 2021, it's coming. Everybody knows it's coming. We were using a platform that wasn't prepared for it. And so we had like a modal, like a pop-up that would happen that the cart checkout process was going through. And because of that, Facebook could do zero tracking.
Oh no.
And at that time, we felt that we had outgrown that platform and we were looking for a new platform already. And so we hadn't found one, and I'm a developer also. So by December of 2020, so just a few months before the iOS changes happened, I just started developing this whole shopping cart thing. And I'm like, okay, well, we can't find something that's what we want, like a real enterprise tool that can do what we want the way we want it and impact production in a meaningful way. So we started developing the software. And February comes along. It took a few weeks to figure out, this domain thing is separate for the cart from our site. Facebook can't track anything. Of course, for everybody, Facebook tracking stopped working properly. But for us,
it was nothing.
It literally went from, $2,000-$3,000 a day in sales to zero from the Friday to the Saturday or something.
That's insane. Yeah.
And if it weren't for us being a subscription box company, we would have been out of business. Like, you can't go to zero sales and keep your staff and keep your stuff. So we at least had the subscription revenue, but our new sales was then zero, literally zero.
Scary.
It took us 6 weeks.
Couple months.
It took us 6 weeks of just freaking out with that ad agency and trying to figure it out and transitioning to the new software and eventually, like, we just gave up on that ad agency. I started running the ads myself. And all of a sudden our sales were not where they were, but maybe half or a third of where they were, but they weren't zero. But we had this really immature, not ready for primetime software tool that we then had to build and build features and functionality on at the same time that we're trying to run the business.
We used it and it wasn't complete.
Wasn't there.
It was painful customer service wise.
Everything was painful about it. So the no revenue, the customer service, the running the operations, the churn, was worse than it was during the peak of COVID. And we weren't bringing in people to replace them, at the time. So 2021 was tough. We still grew the total year revenue was still well over 3 times the revenue from 2020. But it's really because we had the subscription revenue that we grew to this peak in the end of 2021. And that rode out, through all of 2021. There was some churn. The first few months, we weren't replacing churn at all. The rest of the year, we were really replacing churn or maybe even growing a little bit. So that was pretty brutal, a pretty brutal experience. And then, of course, ROAS went way down. Cost for acquisition went way, way, way down, or way, way, way up, sorry. And it's still, today 4 to 5 times what it was in the peak of COVID, and easily 3 three of where it was when we were kind of figuring stuff out and going, okay, this is a real business. We know how to grow this. We can just keep growing it.
Yeah.
So it was pretty wild.
Yeah, it's crazy how that affects a ton of people. So what do you guys use for your platform now? Is it like all custom, or are you using like
all custom? Yep, yeah, it's all custom. Yeah. So we went out and evaluated like everything. I think I evaluated like 5 or 6 platforms, and mostly what I found was either we felt too big for it, and I'll quantify that in that I think of accounting and enterprise value and production and operations. I kind of want to see like more of an ERP, something that's all together and can really help me manage all of it. And so either it was a software built specifically for subscriptions that was good, but we felt like we were too big for, or it was like a software tool made by a software guy who didn't really understand enterprise and accounting and things. And so we ended up building our own thing. So we're still on it today. And we still add features to it and functionality. We're still adding stuff. It's not our core business. It's just, the tool that we have, but it's good and effective at keeping us going.
Cool. Yeah, it's interesting. So what about today? You guys are still mostly reliant on Facebook ads, or what are you using to grow now? Are you going to dipping more into, Google Performance Max, or whatever else other TikTok ads and different things?
So we never got into TikTok. We didn't really ever buy that our audience is there. They may be there. We never really bought in to it. So Facebook is definitely a big part. We're on Pinterest, of course. Google is in there. We just actually relaunched Pinterest recently. It's hard to attribute sales anymore.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask about that.
Yeah. Attribution is tough. Our platform, the way we have it, we can see some attribution. We have a lot of unattributable sales. For a while, we were attributing more sales to the correct platform from our software, from our side, than we were seeing in the ad managers. We fixed that. And now we see a bit more attributed in Facebook or Google or Pinterest than we can see. Mm-hmm. But it kind of makes up that unattributed revenue, which is good because the platforms can optimize better the more data they've got. But it's still tough. CAC is still very high. And we're still putting money into the business to try to get it to a level. We're in like an awkward, size where we're kind of big, but we're not huge. We're not really that big for vendors to, for us to cut out all the, the distribution companies and go direct to all the manufacturers. We have some manufacturers we're direct with. So few. Yeah. So we're in an awkward spot where we'd like to be a little bit bigger, but it's very expensive to get there. So we're just kind of doing it.
Yeah. Those are the troubles with, it's small business issues, right? Like when you're bootstrapping a company and you're not financed, or do you guys maybe think then what's the next step? Is it to try to get some financing, some investments?
Yeah. So the next step is either to, bring in a capital partner or, a strategic partner, or maybe just level out and say, hey, this is what we're going to be and just be what we are.
Interesting. So what's the next goal then for Kids Art Box? Is it to keep growing, or is it to at some point sell the company and get acquired? What else? What's the future look like for Kids Art Box?
So it's kind of a little, it's an active current conversation. If we're going to grow to a very large company that we think we can be, it's not going to be by ourselves. We would need a strategic acquisition or a capital partner that came in and was willing to put in, good money to do it. The great thing about our business is the top line, KPIs, the LTV to CAC ratio is excellent. It's very, very, very good LTV to CAC ratio. Lifetime value to cost to acquire customers ratio is excellent. You don't see businesses with those numbers. The problem is it just takes time, right? Our monthly recurring subscription cost isn't that high, so it just takes time. So you have to have runway to get there. So I think with any subscription business, it's capital intensive, to get to the size that you want to be. And then once you're there, you can kind of let that ride out and have some natural growth and stop being so aggressive once you're at a place where you can really cover your overhead and cover your profits and the things that where you want to be at. So that's kind of where we're at, trying to figure that out and where we go from here. Yep. Yeah,
it has to be a conversation, right? Like, because at some point, some people get into business for that. They want to do something else, or because most entrepreneurs, our minds are racing a ton. And sometimes for us, like, we're already thinking about maybe the next thing or whatever. So we're always in that same boat as well, kind of trying to figure out how long you want to keep this thing. It's our baby, right? So you want to also like kind of protect it. And we're bootstrapped, so I totally get it. You mentioned Facebook.
It was never a, hey, let's build something and sell it. It was like, hey, this is going to be a hobby for Melanie.
It started as a hobby. It grew a little bigger than a hobby.
A lot bigger than a hobby. And Melanie's not the entrepreneurial business person. She's the creative art person. And so it's
happy with that.
Sometimes it's, and all business owners have this, really. It's a love-hate relationship. Sometimes it's like, yeah, we're doing it. This is great. And other times it's like, I hate it. Let's just get rid of it. And
it's the entrepreneur roller coaster.
Yeah. It's a wild ride. And it's
well, yeah.
You just have to smooth it out. Like just say, okay, today's a bad day. Today's a great day. Let's just kind of like average those out and just do it.
So for people who are listening who are kind of on the brink of maybe starting a business, I'm just curious, Melanie, maybe this is for you. Like, how do you take something that's a passion, a hobby, and what were the first steps of turning that into a business? I know you mentioned Instagram. So like starting to post and trying to get a following. Is that the first step? Is it putting pen to paper on what kind of things you want in a box? What was your first moves there?
Well, I wouldn't say that we did it the typical way because we kind of jumped in. Okay. Pretty much. So I had an Instagram page, which I consider my personal page, right? It's this French mom. And then we kind of created a product and we tried to sell it. And in December, I was trying to sell it on Etsy, which, Etsy can work or not, but it's a totally different marketing type of things. And having a business husband is like, well, we're going to do Facebook ads, but doing Facebook ads, Etsy doesn't work. So we built a website. And then, so we did that. But once we did that, it was like, I felt weird promoting my product on my personal page, which I shouldn't have in retrospect. I should have just taken over my personal page. So I created a new Instagram page. So I started from scratch there, which of course, some of my followers followed along, but I probably shouldn't have done that. I should have kept the personal page and just moved it to business. And we jumped in, we built a box, we put it on a website, we advertised it. That was it. There was really no planning.
So my thought here is that Melanie's Instagram kind of proved that there was some interest.
Yeah.
But interest and something that somebody will give you money for are two different things. So from my perspective, you don't have a thing until you're selling it. Like, you can make plans for years and try to figure out, hey, how do I start this? And let me get it perfect. And I'll do, surveys of potential customers and I'll send out free things and do trials and you can do all this stuff. But until somebody will take out their wallet and hand you money, it's not really a business. And so
someone not your family or personal friends either.
That's right. Yeah. That first step you have.
First down with a friend.
Yeah.
Always how it starts. So.
Yeah. So for me, it's just jump in. Like the customers will tell you that you're wrong if they won't give you money. Even if they go, oh, it's nice, I like that. But if they're not giving you money, it's not a business. So to me, it's just jump in, just go for it. And you're going to fail. And you should fail fast and recover fast. And you just fail fast, recover fast, and just keep doing that. And eventually you're like, oh, I have a thing that people will give me money for reliably that I can actually make a profit on.
Yeah. When it comes to the products and the inventory, how did you guys start to source that? What was the first how do you turn your ideas that are in your head, this creative thing, into actual something that's in a box?
So mostly, I do a lot of research. I do a lot of testing on my children. I have 3 boys. They're my tester. I throw it at them and, see if it sticks, right? I see if they like it. And then now, so we have a full team. We're a team of 3. So
tell me about Walmart.
So when the supplies, when we started, we actually, we have probably 40 subscribers. So we used to go to Walmart. And I got those cookie cutters in the box and we sold more boxes than planned. And we went to like 6 different Walmarts in a 6-hour radius, 2-hour radius drive to find all the cookie cutters we needed for the box.
We're clearing out Walmarts and Targets of very specific art supplies, driving all over the place to just get stuff. So Amazon was big for us in the beginning.
Amazon was big at the beginning and it's worked pretty well too. Now we have more, we have suppliers. So I actually found a paint manufacturer in Ohio that will do whatever I want and they're great to work with. And it was hard to find because, I send 2-ounce bottles of paint. But if you want 2 ounce bottles of paint, you just have a rainbow. Like stores will sell your rainbow, you can't pick your colors.
Okay.
So I Googled 2 ounce bottles of paint and then I called. And you'd be surprised at the fact that nobody calls you back, or maybe you're not surprised, but most people don't even bother calling you back.
That's
And then
we were filling paint bottles by hand.
oh my goodness.
By hand at the beginning. I would buy bottles from Uline down in Atlanta, and we would buy the big ones from Walmart or Michael's and fill them by hand, and that was painful. And I found Handy Art. I just picked up the phone, I called them, and they were responsive, and they're in Ohio, and they were totally willing to work with, a very small business.
Right on.
And we've grown with them. We still use them, and it's amazing. So that's one example. And then the others, we kind of grew into finding different businesses that sell, good quality products that are mostly distributors located in the US. So we've never really had a big supply chain problem because all our distributors are in the US. I don't buy from overseas. I don't want to have to deal with that and the 2 months that is going to take to come. On top of that, I'll be honest, we've tried to, and we got test supplies from them to kind of try their product. And now, luckily, it wasn't the quality I was looking for.
Okay.
So I'm still on the same distributors and my paint manufacturer.
So we got way too big to keep going to Walmart and Target and Michael's,
sure.
Like that. And so we started finding distributors and even some manufacturers, but then we're too small for some of the really big, manufacturers out there. So it's been pretty wild. And the other thing is that every month Melanie and the team here create an entirely new box. And so the nice thing, so the supply chain's messed up all around, every industry. It's difficult. And if you're buying the same thing and you want that consistency of I need this thing every month, that's very hard right now because plants just shut down for some time. But for us, she's picking out new things every month and new items, and the variance is actually good for the product. And so we don't really have problems getting things.
I haven't had. The biggest problem I had was actually during COVID, finding those bottles, because everybody was buying the bottles to pack up hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding. That's right.
And it was really hard to find bottles to pack up my painting. Yeah. So
envelopes was a problem for a while.
Envelopes. Paper.
Yeah,
we had paper problem for a little bit. That didn't last very long, but our printer was just not getting paper anymore.
Yeah.
So things like that, but they all worked out.
So for a lot of people, they do is a very similar story, or they hope it's a similar story. They've got this idea in their head. They've got this hobby, this passion that they kind of want to turn into a business, and they want to just jump in, which is what you guys have done. What would you tell someone who's in that position right now? Things have you learned that you could maybe do differently, or things that you did that was really a positive thing?
So it depends on the personality. I just jump in, just do it. Stop thinking about it, stop planning, just make your thing, see if somebody will give you money for it, and then see if you can get feedback from them, and just all in, just go for it. If you have to do it, you have to do it. So as we grew, we got a lease. Yeah, you learn a lot of lessons along the way. The main thing I think for a business like this is to really understand your unit economics, right? You've got to understand each part of your cost. If there's packing material cost, there's product cost in the box, there's shipping cost in the box.
Shipping is going to be a huge chunk.
Shipping is huge.
It's like half of us. Yeah, it's basically up here. It's half basically.
Yeah, we see a lot of. So we're in a bunch of Facebook groups and things like that with other subscription folks, and we see people complaining shipping is so expensive. Shipping is so expensive all the time, and it's like, guys, that's part of your cost of goods sold. Until that box is at their door, it's not sold. Right. So just build that in, build your healthy margin on top of that. And as long as the unit economics work, as long as each item you're selling is marginally profitable, you can figure out, okay, I have to have some overhead, some fixed costs. And now I need to sell this many to cover fixed. And then everything I sell above that is profit. But if your unit economics don't work, you can't sell more units at a loss and get yourself out of a hole. You have to have that margin on the unit, on the unit level, and understanding, top level KPIs, what's your CAC, what's your cost per acquisition look like? what's your lifetime value for your customers? Really hard to figure out lifetime value when you're brand new and you don't have.
You got to estimate though. You have to kind of you have to do some kind of like predicting and. Yeah.
Yep. You got to kind of figure that out, and you have to understand churn, like how fast are people going away, and how long does it take you? When we were first starting out, it was not so much about lifetime value as much as how long does it take us to break even on the customer we just acquired?
Yeah.
If they're buying,
people are shocked. People are shocked how long it could be. You know, when you tell them, you look at their business, maybe month 4 or 5, and they're like, "What?" Like they want to make profit from month 1, right? That's just not doable. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. And so we sell boxes in 4 ways. So we do a one-time box, which is more expensive. Always make that more. We think subscription first, right? That's the idea here. Let's go for subscription. That's what carried us. That's what keeps us going. Then we sell them monthly, so people can pay monthly. No commitment. They can cancel anytime. We sell quarterly, so they prepay us for 3 months, and then we sell annually. On average, if you take all of that and you mix it together, on average, people for the entire time we've been in business buy 2 boxes. And early on, when things were, CAC was low, we were breaking even on that first sale because 2 boxes was all that it took. Now it's not two months anymore. CAC is much higher.
Yeah.
But at the time, with product costs, shipping, labor, everything, that first purchase they were making, we were breaking even. Like this was an unlimited growth business at that time, right? So of course that's changed. It's not that. I don't think it'll be that with Facebook or anything else ever again. I think there's other channels that we can bring our average CAC down with. We're working on figuring that out, but it's a bigger risk to do those bigger ones because it's more brand awareness and it's other things that are difficult to do. But those metrics, just understand your numbers is just so vital. You can't dig yourself out of a hole with a loss in every unit.
Yeah, it's interesting because most people, it's a good point, and that's good for you guys for mentioning that because I think people want tactical things like, oh, I want to start with my boxes. They don't think of these things, but you need to understand your numbers, and people want to kind of oversight that and just concentrate on the passionate part of the box, right? Where it's their hobby, it's their whatever it is. But you do need to understand your numbers, folks, because these last 240 some episodes, the successful boxes all say the same thing. You need to understand your numbers. At some point, you need to get a grasp on them anyway.
Now, you might be in a position where you're shipping 10 boxes and to ship those 10 boxes, there's no money in it. But you know that if you get to 100 boxes or 50 boxes, there's some volume, right? I think at some point we were buying stickers, and the stickers were very expensive to put on our boxes. So we bought plain white boxes from a box company. We put stickers on them, beautiful colored stickers. They were very expensive.
They were very pretty.
I think the box itself was maybe like $2 with the sticker in the box. I saw some people at the time buying boxes for $5 and $6. I don't know how they afforded it, but whatever. They're buying $5 and $6 boxes. And we thought it was crazy. So at some point we got big enough, we could get to a place where we could buy boxes for 50 cents, branded, custom cut, custom boxes.
They're like local. They store them for us. It just brings them when we want them. It's amazing.
And so there might not be profit in those early boxes just because your scale is just too small. Like everything is too small. But you have to make sure you have a path to being profitable quickly on those boxes.
If you don't have a plan to grow, you don't have a business, is kind of what I've heard before. And it's true because you look at your small operation and it's a good time to get your grasp on your numbers, but it's also a time to plan out what the numbers have to be for you to be a profitable business. And you have to see that, right? As you start to ask your suppliers, what is your cost going to be, so you can kind of predict and forecast properly all your metrics. Okay, so we talked about different things when it comes to how you guys grew and how you guys started. Today, do you guys still, do you guys focus maybe on different things like influencers, whether it's YouTube or Instagram? You're an influencer, Melanie, so that may be something where you just have your own audience you can use, collaborations, partnerships you're seeing with boxes now, affiliate programs. What do you guys attribute more?
So we've tried influencers in several different ways, and we've not gotten really anywhere with it. I don't know if it's, it might just take longer to make it work than we've put effort in on it. We've got some affiliates. We have some affiliates that send us, decent business every month. For us to be an affiliate channel, we'd have to have hundreds or maybe low thousands of affiliates for it to make a whole lot of sense.
And we don't, so
that's a whole channel. Like that's not just I'm going to go get some affiliates, right? Like you could have 30 or 50 or 200 affiliates, and if you're not interacting with them and working those channels, it doesn't work. So we're not quite there. For us, we have a good email list. Email is just great for us. Outside of obviously Facebook and paid stuff that we're doing to get new eyeballs in, we've got a good loyal following of folks on email. We send out an email, we can bring in revenue predictably outside of just the subscription revenue.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. People are like, well, how do you grow your email list? Well, for us, the best way to have done it was directing traffic to the website via Facebook ads. That's basically our strategy for, right or wrong, how we get a ton of emails and getting creative ways to get those emails, whether it's built into your flow, your pop-ups. Those are all automatics that people will do that. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a few ways of trying to get them to give us their email on our site. Sure.
But exactly, it's directing traffic to your site. That's probably how most people, like 90% plus, get their emails. And we're actually, just for listeners, if you're looking at different, unique ways as well, like we are testing collaborations right now, actually, with other kids' boxes, but that we're not in competition of each other's ages. So we're a newborn pregnancy box for that first year. So we're trying out collabs with, boxes like yours that are like a little later. So, if they have another baby, we be them. For us, after our box, when you're past one, we send them to you, kind of thing, right? So that's the kind of stuff that people are can also test out, reach out to other boxes and see if they'd be ready to do some collabs, because I think there's great opportunity there as well. Share each other's email lists, lean on new audiences, that sort of thing.
Lead magnets are great. We started doing lead magnets. We love
cool.
those.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, I should mention. Facebook ads, let's just kind of finish with this year. What would be the one thing that you guys are using the most right now? Is it pictures, videos, short, long? What are you guys doing here?
Pictures, static images.
We've tried a ton of different videos. We've never had one that worked. It's all pictures.
We've done
not as good, right? Like we A/B test, and then we always go also default back to the pictures. Yeah. It's weird. Yeah,
it's crazy. We've done kind of kitschy cell phone, social media content kind of ones.
User generated, yeah.
Yep. We've hired people to come in with really nice professional cameras and scripts, and that didn't work. And like we always end up back at these static images that we have one static image alone that has generated more revenue than like the next 50 images. It's just like a crappy image that was just, one day we had a designer here and we're like, hey, make us like 20 images. And just like, let's throw something at the wall. And this one image is just performed now for almost 2.5 years.
It's a rainbow with a box on it.
Yep.
This is it.
Interesting. It's funny what sticks sometimes, because we'll have these great ideas. Same thing. It's like they do nothing, and the one that we thought was going to be whatever put aside, it does well. It's strange. How often do you guys kind of like freshen up your ads? Do you guys do something every kind of month?
So we have an agency. That runs our ads on all of our platforms, and they're pretty constantly checking and testing creative. So it's either they're changing the images or they're changing the copy around it. So it's pretty regular. We're always trying to find that evergreen ad that just performs, that doesn't have to get touched, and can have like a runway to go for a while. But then eventually it kind of needs to get touched and moved around. Audiences, it's just constant. Trying to find new audiences and widen that base of eyeballs that's looking at what we're doing. So,
do you know if your agency works on like on the gifting aspect? So maybe targeting grandmas or targeting other, what they're doing there?
So we find in the holiday seasons that the gifting is huge. Our CAC goes way down in like say Black Friday onwards, or even Thanksgiving. Kind of like that same sort of time frame. The cost for acquisition goes way down for the grandmas and the aunts and the uncles and the friends buying the boxes. We sell a lot of 3-month boxes to them. Just the price point, I think, makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. The problem is it's an automatic renewing subscription, and we're very upfront about it. It says, hey, it's going to renew.
It's in your email.
It's on the page. It's on the site.
3 days before.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And they yell at us. They just get so mad in January or March when it renews and they forgot. Even though we've emailed them, the receipt says it'll renew. We send them an email before it's going to renew. Hey, it's going to renew. We renew it 5 days before it's going to ship. So they get a charge on their card and they get a receipt. They could complain then we haven't shipped it yet. And then 5 days later, we ship it. And then inevitably, grandma comes back. You tried to screw me over. Like, I didn't give you permission. I didn't authorize this charge. And we're like, here's the email and here's a screenshot.
I know.
We're not trying to scam you. And some of them go, oh, my bad. I'm sorry. And other ones just get mad and like
They
try to
just
fight.
don't care.
Yeah, it's just
No, we have to deal with the same thing. We do the same thing, and it says everywhere as well, very similarly. And some people just fail to look at it. So I don't know if that's a failure on our part, and we have to look at it the way we do things. But also, I think some people want to continue giving it. We have some gifters that have been gifting for like 20 months. It's unbelievable. So they want to continue gifting it. I'm like, they haven't said anything. It's just like their longest customers ever. It's like, what a great gift, like the gift that keeps on giving. And they don't mind, I think, because they get if our prices go up, we grandfather them in. So I think some of them will stick because of that, right? I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. We try really hard. We recently changed the subject of the email.
We still have the problem.
We still have it, but like we tried that. We're like, well, maybe they just think it's a spam email from that thing they bought for somebody before, and they're not reading it. So we tried to make it really obvious. I forget what it says. Like it's something like, we're going to charge your card or something like that. Like it's like really in your face, and they still complain.
Still get
interesting.
Emails. So
I think some of them forget, right? They just kind of like they bought this months ago and they kind of forget. I don't know.
So I think gifts are good. CAC is less, so they can be marginally profitable immediately, really.
Oh yeah.
And they get eyeballs to other people. Like sometimes a gift buyer buys it for somebody, and then that person comes back and subscribes, or they tell people about it.
Or they tell people about it, or they tell that person about it, so that person goes ahead and gift it to multiple people.
Yep.
We do have grandparents with 5 subscriptions because they have 5 grandkids.
Yeah,
that's cool. Beauty. Price points. Last one here. Price points. How did you guys land on a price? I know we're talking about the metrics, but at some point in subscription, anyways, it seems like you have to price it super high to be profitable. Yet the value is the big thing. How do you make sure that the value is there? Do you guys have some kind of like bonus things you guys do for your community, or how do you guys justify your pricing?
Well, so the first thing is what do you need to sell it for, right? In order to make a marginal profit on each unit. So we started with, what do we have for a budget for shipping and product cost and boxes and labor and all that, and came up with a price. Then we went out and said, well, what are other people doing? And at some point we realized we had priced it too low based on what other people were doing. So we raised the price, and it didn't really impact us in terms of volume of sales when we did that. So, the market will tell you really. And for us, it's a luxury item. It's a higher end item. The customers who are coming to us and saying, hey, well, I could buy this paint for 50 cents from here and this from that, like the value that they're getting is their time. It's not the items in the box.
It's the idea in the box.
Now, if they wanted to go buy the
items, curation.
Yep. Yeah. If they wanted to go buy the items in the box, they would actually spend more money than the box contents that they're getting, because they'd have to go buy a gallon of paint. They couldn't buy 2 ounces of paint. They'd have to go buy a ream of paper. They couldn't get that one special paper. So if they wanted that box worth of creativity, they would spend more, and then they would end up with like an art supply closet like we have at home, which has just got like, thousands of dollars worth of stuff in it that we just got way, way, way too much of. And so that's just what happens. So it works because they get the right quantity of things. They save the time, it's curated for them, and it's all there.
Yeah, we have an automatic email we send out to people who come on board and say, oh, I could have got this baby product and this mom product you guys gave me for less. And hey, then it's not for you, because they don't, it's frustrating because they try to justify everything in the box. You're probably not a subscription box person, right? Like you might not be, that might not be your thing. It's about the excitement, the curation. It's about the community. It's about all these different things, all the added value we put in there. And for the most part, they're wrong on that. Most boxes they would not be able to get separately, because by the time they either drive to get it, ship it, or have to buy it with the prices where we get it in bulk, it makes no sense. But it is what it is.
Some people are just allergic to subscriptions, or they've been by a gym or something.
Oh, right, yeah, good call.
You're trying to rip them off.
There are some pretty bad subscriptions out there that, we've had to fight with them too, and it gives the ones who are really trying a bad name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. Yeah. Cool. Well, last thing here. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the community thing that you mentioned. That's huge.
Oh, big time.
So we have a Facebook group. We should have started a Facebook group on day one. So we've got a Facebook group with a few thousand people in it. These are our champions. They get new people in the group. They attack them and they say, hey, you have to buy this. And they share all their art with them. And this is just so fantastic. We should have started a Facebook group on day one. We also do our email list. We give out free extra activities. There's always extra stuff in our box. There's extra things than just the activities that we do. So we give that away. for free. It's just email content that says, hey, with that extra penny for paper or whatever you have in there, here's some ideas that you can do. So that community building is good. And then we try to get involved in the local community here. When we have extra items, we've done this year a huge amount of donations, tens of thousands of dollars of donations this year to our local community. Cool. And I think people like to see us engaged with what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Yeah. I was just going to say, lastly, you guys want to maybe plug your Instagram, plug your website. Where can people find you? What's the best way to get more on Kids Art Box?
So our website is www.kidsartbox.com. Mm-hmm. And then all our social media, Facebook, Instagram. We also have a TikTok and a Pinterest. It's My Kids Art Box.
Perfect. And those links, folks, will be in the show notes. So, I mean, whether you're listening or you're watching this, if you're watching it, you're going to see it come up on the screen. If you're listening, you're going to see it in there as well. So it makes a great gift. Like you mentioned, this whole Thanksgiving. Well, Thanksgiving for us is coming up in a few, like we're recording this, I think it's next weekend. Canadian Thanksgiving is a lot earlier, but that season of giving is upon us. So you ran out of Halloween boxes, but people can still get your other theme boxes coming up. You said for Christmas and for Hanukkah.
Yep. So we have the regular boxes for sale now, and Christmas and Hanukkah, I think, launch next week.
Next week, Tuesday. Yeah.
Anything to look forward to when it comes to Black Friday sales? You guys get into that stuff or no?
We'll do some sales. We don't do we try to promote subscriptions in our sales, and we also really promote for our subscribers discounts and things like that. So hey, if you're a subscriber, actually with our Halloween box, we had a lot of people come subscribe just so they could get the Halloween box discount, and then they're both. So it really helped us a lot.
Yeah, good call. Well, thanks guys for doing this. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your genius. And Melanie, I'm assuming then you're French. If your Instagram was French, t'es française.
Oui, je suis française.
OK. C'est quoi ton accent? Tu viens de quel pays?
Je suis de la région parisienne.
OK. Moi, j'ai un cousin qui vit à Paris maintenant. Mais notre français n'est pas comme votre français. Nous autres, on est des français canadiens. Alors, Nick, do you speak French?
I do speak French. Yeah.
Cool. Right on.
Very American accent. When I speak French in Europe, they think I'm Canadian. So
there you go. Yeah. Well, our French gets better as you go east, especially in Quebec, but it's still a different French. Like Canadian French is much different than the French.
French. Very different.
Very different. Yeah, it's not even the same. And I would say here in Manitoba, there's a ton of French towns. Like my town, we only speak French at home actually with our kids, but our French is very different. Franco-Manitoban is kind of like Quebec, but maybe even more butchered. It's because there's so much English around, right? You naturally kind of gets into the language, but yeah.
We have a whole story about French language and why Canada is different than French. It's really interesting history, actually.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah. So my whole background is French. So yeah, it's actually my family, Melanie, if you go back, like on my mom's side, the Fares, they're from Normandy. We actually have like the whole thing there, but maybe that's for another podcast, a different conversation. Yeah. Right on. Thanks for doing this, guys. Make sure to check out kidsartboxeveryone.com and My Kids Art Box on social media. And you guys said you're not into TikTok, but we'll have to maybe see some TikTok features there. Is that maybe the agency that's taking care of that for you guys?
Yeah, we've just got a little bit of content. We're trying to grow that. We haven't really got big with it yet, but we're trying.
Cool. Good stuff. Well, thanks for doing this. Make sure to check that out, folks. Makes a great gift. 3+, 6+. And then even for people like me, I bet you, for people that, if you're an adult that's not artsy at all, that's probably a good, the 3+ is probably a good starting point for me, right?
We have a bunch of moms, especially.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Good stuff. Okay. Well, that's it. It's a wrap, and we'll talk soon. Make sure to keep in touch.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Have a good one.
Have a good one.